This is Newswatch at 5:30 with Anthony Agostino.
Welcome to Newswatch at 5:30. We have a great show for you today. Lots of sports and athletics, just the way I like it. Yes, Doug Jeffries will be up a little bit later on with sports. But in addition to that, we'll be talking about the first ever Limestone City MTB Challenge, a mountain biking race for really anyone who has a mountain bike and a helmet. We'll give you some information about this a little bit later on. We'll also talk about the World Transplant Games. A local woman is heading off to compete in 10-pin bowling and lawn bowling as well. We'll talk to her about her trip to Australia, which is coming up later on. At 5:30 is what we're going to do. We're talking about the World Transplant Games, and a local woman is going to be involved in these for the first time ever on her behalf. With us here in studio to talk about her experience upcoming at the World Transplant Games, we have Shillane. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Hi, thanks for having me, Anthony.
Good to have you on. First and foremost, a lot of people are thinking, World Transplant Games, how does this work? It's pretty kind of obvious, but fill us in on what it's all about.
Basically, it's a celebration of life where individuals who've had transplants can prove that transplants really do work and that they can return to fulfilling full, normal lives. Basically, there are about 14 different sports at the Transplant Games, including athletics, swimming, volleyball, lawn bowling, 10-pin bowling, as well as numerous others. And anyone who's had a transplant, either a heart transplant, lung, kidney, liver, pancreas, or bone marrow, can participate.
Now, someone like yourself, you have cystic fibrosis, and as a result of which you've had a double lung transplant.
Yes, I had a double lung transplant in 2005, February 24th.
Wow, and now you're still living a very active life, and I guess this is the whole part of being part of the World Transplant Games.
Exactly.
In fact, you attended the Canadian Transplant Games. Was it last year?
Yes, it was August 2008, and that was in Windsor, Ontario.
You did pretty well with it, too. Fill us in on how you did.
I got a gold in lawn bowling. I had a team of 3, including Dennis Richardson and Ian Robb. And so we got a first in lawn bowling, and then I got a second, a silver medal in 10-pin bowling.
Now, this has got to be a great accomplishment for yourself, too, because regardless of the situation, to go into some sort of transplant has got to be a little bit scary. And to come out of this and being like, look, I can live a great, active, fun life, it's really got to give you a lot of encouragement and bring you back to a great place. It does.
It's definitely a celebration of life.
Now, this is going to be happening, speaking of celebration, you're going to be celebrating the World Transplant Games in Australia. I mean, talk about a great place to go to.
Yeah, it is a great place. My husband and I are both going to Australia. We leave on the 13th of August, and we're going to do a whole tour of the eastern coast, and then the Transplant Games are in the middle of our itinerary, and that's in the Gold Coast.
Now, of course, as you're going throughout Australia and sightseeing and having a good time there, you're going to be focused on the task at hand.
Yes.
So I'm assuming you don't get a gold medal just by going there for fun.
No, that's right. You have to. It's quite a level of competition. There are many records that are set. And
at the same time, you aren't going there alone. You actually have had that tremendous amount of support, people who've helped you get there. Maybe you can fill us in on that.
Yes, I have. I'd like to thank the Ontario East Transplant Support Group, who's headed up by Ian Robb. And he donated, as well as his organization, donated money for Simon, my husband, and I to go to the World Transplant Games, and that money is to go towards our registration. And then also a man named Dan Milligan and his wife Brenda from MVP Sports in Coburg donated a set of lawn bowls to me.
Nice.
So that was wonderful. It's very nice to have a set that I can take with me to Australia, because they all have different biases, and it's important to have a set that you're used to when you go to play, and you can count on doing much better than if you were to borrow a set when you're in Australia.
I think you're obviously an inspiration to anyone, regardless of their situation, but especially to those who have gone through their own transplant scenarios. If people wanted to maybe go down the same path as you and pursue some sort of sport to that level, how can they do this? How did you do it?
Well, I actually joined the Ontario East Transplant Support Group, and they were the ones that told me about the Transplant Games. They attended the ones in Edmonton in 2006, and then I competed with them in 2008 in Windsor. And you really don't even have to be an athlete. Like, I'm sure there's one sport that you could learn to even just participate in. You don't have to be a winner. You don't have to be very athletic. It's just basically to have fun. And there's the organization, there's the website for the World Transplant Games, which I believe is worldtransplantgames09.com.
Okay.
And then also you can get involved with the Canadian Transplant Association, which hosts the Canadian Transplant Games.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for being on the show. Best of luck to you at the World Transplant Games. I think you'll do fantastic, and love to see you repeat with that gold medal.
Great. Thanks a lot,
Thanks for
Anthony.
being on the show. Well, there you go. Shillane's heading off to the World Transplant Games, and if you'd like more information about how you can go there, it's pretty simple. Log on to www.worldtransplantgames09.com. Stick around. We'll be back with more Newswatch at 5:30 after the break.